Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
It was a weekend of angry protest and arrest. Racial tensions at the breaking point after Dallas Army vet Micah Johnson used his military training to shoot and kill 5 Dallas police officers. A Black Lives Matter protest over the shooting of black men in Baton Rouge in Minnesota. And the Dallas police chief says he planned an even deadlier attack, possibly using explosives. More than 160 people are believed to have been arrested during the weekend protest in Baton Rouge alone. At least 30 of those arrests Sunday night, as a few hundred people tried to block roads. There have been demonstrations throughout the country. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson called for dialogue.
There's a lot of anxiety in this country right now, but at a moment like this, we need to take the opportunity to come together, develop community relations across the country.
Speaking to the Spanish media Sunday, President Obama commented on some of the rhetoric at Black Lives Matter demonstrations.
In a movement like Black Lives Matter, there's always going to be some folks who say things that are stupid. And I don't think that you can hold well-meaning activists who are doing the right thing and peacefully protesting responsible for everything that is uttered at a protest.
And on social media, some are pushing the theme that President Obama has justified the violence against police, although the president has also offered his support for officers as well. And this Dallas mother, being called a hero for shielding her son from the hail of bullets in the Dallas shooting and getting hit in the leg, was thanking police for protecting her family.
So thankful. I had never seen anything like that. The way they just came around us and just guarded us like that.
Typhoon Napatak has left 10 people dead and 11 others missing in Minqing County of East China's Fujian province. The typhoon brought torrential rains to the country, affecting 95,000 local people, with nearly 35,000 being forced to evacuate, and about 1,000 are still awaiting rescue.
North of downtown Los Angeles, a wildfire raged in the Santa Clarita Valley, forcing 2,000 people to evacuate. Steve Little and his family worried they'd lose their home.
All of a sudden the sheriff came by and said, you need to get whatever you have and put it in the car and get out of here.
Crews attacked the flames from the air and on the ground, lighting backfires to consume dry brush and prevent the fire from reaching homes. Overnight, the evacuation orders were lifted.
It was a little scary, absolutely, but you know, they did such an amazing job.
We are in an ongoing year-round fire season.
In the last 2 months, nearly 100,000 acres have burned in California. Los Angeles County Fire Chief Daryl Osby says this is the most volatile fire season in over 100 years.
The United Nations mission in South Sudan says the current ceasefire has largely been observed since it was imposed on Monday night. Clashes between forces loyal to President Salva Kiir and those supporting Vice President Riek Machar took place over 5 days until a ceasefire was reached at the beginning of the week. Hundreds have been killed in the violence, with aid workers saying that bodies remain in the streets of the capital, Juba. The UN estimates that around 3,600, mostly women and children, have been displaced by the fighting. Around 5,000 internally displaced people have sought protection in the UN's Tomping compound, and another 3,000 have been relocated to a civilian site nearby.
According to the report, rebels fired hundreds of shells and rockets on Monday. The violent shelling comes as a response to the advance of government forces towards the Castello Road.
Rebels have relied on the road for supply runs and access to Aleppo, Syria's largest city and once its commercial center. It has been bitterly contested between the warring sides in Syria's civil war since 2012.
And in the UK, people have taken to the streets of London to protest against US police brutality. Black Lives Matter activists gathered outside the U.S. Embassy to show their solidarity with the protesters in the U.S. Demonstrations have been held across the U.S. and in parts of Europe following the deadly police shootings of 2 African Americans in the U.S. last week. British protesters also marched on Downing Street, the residence of the Prime Minister of the UK. The demonstrators expressed their disagreement with the appointment of Theresa May as the UK's new Prime Minister.
Yemen have said at least 44 people were killed in recent clashes among Saudi-backed government forces, Shiite Houthi rebels and fighters loyal to ousted President Ali Abdullah Saleh. On Wednesday, a UN mediator has met the rebels in the capital Sana'a. Fighting has persisted across the country despite a truce that came into effect in April. And the UN said more than 6,400 people have been killed in clashes since March 2015.
The driver barreled down the densely packed street. Witnesses say aiming to hit as many people as he could. Police repeatedly tried to shoot him, but he managed to accelerate away and hit dozens more. People fled in panic. Witnesses say some even jumped into the sea. American tourist Kayla Repan was on the promenade when she ran without knowing exactly what she was running from.
I mean, it seemed like everyone was running, we were running away from something, but, we were just turning down alleys and kind of looking for somewhere that might be safe.
For many, there was nowhere safe. The truck charged on for over a mile until police finally shot and killed the driver. Over 80 people, more than 10 of them children, were killed.
So let me start with where I'm coming from, and let me be as blunt and as direct as I can be. Western civilization is in a war. We should, frankly, test every person from here who is of a Muslim background, and if they believe in Sharia, they should be deported. Sharia is incompatible with Western civilization. Modern Muslims who have given up Sharia, glad to have them as citizens. Perfectly happy to have them next door. But we need to be fairly relentless about defining who our enemies are. Anybody who goes on a website favoring ISIS or Al-Qaeda or other terrorist groups, that should be a felony and they should go to jail. Any organization which hosts such a website should be engaged in a felony. It should be closed down immediately. Our forces should be used to systematically destroy every internet-based source. And frankly, if we can't destroy them through the internet, we should destroy them with kinetic power, using various weapons, starting with predators, and just frankly, just killing them. I am sick and tired of being told that the wealthiest, most powerful civilization in history, all of Western civilization, is helpless in the face of a group of medieval barbarians who, for example, recently burned 20 young women to death, burned them to death, because they wouldn't have sex with them. A group which beheaded recently in the Philippines 2 Canadian businessmen. And we're told to be reasonable, to be passive, to not judge. Well, I just want to tell you tonight, everybody who watches this video, this is the fault of Western elites who lack the guts to do what is right, to do what is necessary, and to tell us the truth, and that starts with Barack Obama.
Daesh Takfiri terrorists in Iraq have confirmed the death of their number 2 leader, Omar al-Shishani. Daesh said that Shishani was killed in battle near the Iraqi city of Mosul. Confirmation comes nearly 4 months after Shishani was widely believed to have been killed in a U.S. airstrike in northern Syria. Shishani has been reported as being killed on multiple occasions in the past, but this is the first time that Daesh has confirmed his death. The Georgian-born ethnic Chechen had a reputation for brutality. He was described by the Pentagon as Daesh's Minister of War.
Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia and Poland make up a large part of NATO's eastern flank. The alliance is preparing to deploy 4 battalions to these NATO countries in response to the West's perception that Moscow illegally took over Crimea and has fueled a conflict in eastern Ukraine. These issues dominated a meeting of the NATO-Russia Council in Brussels.
We didn't agree. Of course, we still see disagreements between Russia and NATO when it comes to the analysis, the assessments of why we are in the situation we are.
Moscow sees the NATO build-up along its borders as unnecessary provocation and the alliance's position on Crimea and eastern Ukraine as nothing more than propaganda, because the people of Crimea took part in free and open elections to rejoin Russia in 2014. Given that some EU countries are much more positive towards Russia than others, experts say that Brexit might have an impact on EU foreign policy.
Clearly, there might be a different balance in the debate within Europe vis-à-vis Russia, the question of sanctions towards Russia, but also more generally the approach to the neighborhoods, the readiness of the EU to be a proactive actor in the neighborhood, and so on and so forth. But mainly because of the fact the EU will become probably more introspective.
Some campaign groups see NATO as a waste of money. The final price tag for the alliance's enormous new headquarters in Brussels, which are still being completed, could reach €1 billion.